Hello, Vilonia United Methodist Church, and welcome to our MidWeek Devotional series, At the Heart at Home, where we're looking at different spiritual practices that get at the heart of our faith and that we're invited to do at home due to our current situation in the midst of the pandemic. Today, I'm with Sherri Wood, a congregant at Vilonia United Methodist Church, and we're going to share a little bit about Anglican prayer beads with you. I've asked if you have any spiritual practices that you would like to learn about or want to share with the congregation to let me know, and Sherri was great to reach out to me and to share that she has a history and experience with prayer beads, and we wanted to share that with you all as a congregation. So at this point, I'm going to let her share a little bit about prayer beads and their history in our faith.
Well, prayer beads have been around forever. It started with pebbles in the pocket, as the people who were illiterate and couldn't read the prayers or who didn't know Latin, they would say the Lord's Prayer or other repetitive prayers and move one pebble to the other pocket as they did this. Well, you lose pebbles. So then they started tying knots in ropes, and from there it went on to long strings of beads, and then in more modern times the rosary came about, and we're all familiar with the Catholic Rosary, and from there in this century we've gone to Anglican beads. It's as if we'd sort of, in the Protestant faith, we'd forgotten about beads.
Right.
And now we've picked them back up again. But every faith has a tradition with beads.
That's great, yeah. So, like Sherri mentioned, you might be familiar with beads as a rosary in the Catholic tradition, but actually, even in the Protestant tradition, and I'll have a close-up picture of this too for you to see better, but there are Anglican prayer beads, an Anglican rosary. This was thought to have started in the 1980s by a group of American Episcopalians who wanted to have a more contemplative, methodical way of praying. As United Methodists, we like things that are methodical, so I imagine that many in our denomination also appreciate prayer beads. I just want to mention a few things about these prayer beads before Sherri shares a little bit about her experience with prayer beads. You'll see that there is a circle of beads with a invitatory bead and a cross at the bottom. And there are 4 of these cruciform beads. They're yellow on my prayer beads, but these form a cross. That's why they're called cruciform. And then in between each cruciform bead, there are 7 beads called the weeks, and they are for the 7 days of the week, or also the 7 days of creation. Finally, there are 33 beads all the way around the prayer beads, and those represent the 33 years of life that Jesus lived on earth as he lived among us. And so that is some of the symbolism within these beads. I was telling Sherri that I first learned about prayer beads at a past church I was at. A woman came to a United Methodist Women meeting and shared about prayer beads. She made these prayer beads actually and gave them to me and taught us about prayer beads, and she continues to share them with others. And so Sherri, would you share about your experience with prayer beads?
Well, when I found out about the Anglican prayer beads, I thought that was a really good idea. I mean, I've used rosaries before, and I still do occasionally, and I have no problem with it. But this is something smaller I can keep in my pocket. I have one now in my pocket. And I realized while I was working that between my work and raising a child alone, and life is very busy and it's very noisy. And my prayers were becoming either non-existent or very direct and quick and rushed, and I decided this is not going to do. So the beads force you to slow down, I think, and they're also a form of concentration, so your mind can't worry about what you need to do today,
right,
or where you have to go. So it's really a good way to concentrate on your prayers, and plus, since you have the 7 weeks beads in between the cruciforms, I use the axe form of prayer, which most of us learned either in summer camp
yes,
or in Sunday school.
That's right.
And I follow that around, and it, for instance, adoration, it gives me 7 reasons to think about what is God?
Right.
Why is he so wonderful? Why do I believe in God? And on around with confession, we say, forgive me for my sins. Okay, what did I do this week?
Right.
What are my sins? Where do I need to improve? And thanksgiving. If I can't come up with 7 things to be thankful for,
Yeah.
something wrong. And, supplication. We all have gimmies. These are the gimmies. But I try and keep it to people.
Right.
Pray always for others
Mm-hmm.
before you pray for yourself. And I find the beads really help with slowing down. I mean, I could spend 30 minutes just
Right.
going around this little circle without a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So if you find yourself hurried, I find this is a good way to slow down.
That's great. Yeah, and it's something for us to do with our hands too, right? You said
Yes.
we won't get distracted because we have this way to go
It's
around a
tactile.
circle.
And we all have muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
So if you might feel really awkward at first, I did, but when you keep doing it, just the idea of having them in your hand after you're used to it, it's comforting. I mean, I took these with me when I went to the hospital
Wow.
to have an operation,
Okay.
and just having them was a comfort, because I didn't know if anybody was going to show up.
Right.
Of course, Ellen did. I can always count on Ellen. But I advise people to try it if they find they could use a little help with their prayer life.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation,
you're welcome.
and I hope that others will share their own spiritual practices that have been meaningful to them, so we can continue to learn from one another. And we'll compile a list of resources for you. If there's some books that we enjoy using, I have one called Praying with Beads, where you use scripture to go around the beads during different liturgical seasons. We'll find there's some books about how to make your own prayer beads and how you can do that as an activity with friends or with family. So we'll provide you with some resources. Of course, you can buy them online at a Christian bookstore or on Etsy, but we want to provide some resources for you so that you can have this experience as well. If you have questions about prayer beads or want to know more, please contact me or contact us to find out how you can reach Sherri, and we'd love to get you in touch with one of us. I hope that you have a great day, that you are blessed by these spiritual practices, and that you might find new ways to connect with God in the coming days. Thank you.